The rain fell in sheets across the parking lot as Eliza fumbled with her umbrella, cursing under her breath. She was already late for her interview, her makeup was running, and now this downpour. When she spotted the black Tesla, identical to her rideshare description, she made a dash for it, yanking open the back door and sliding in with a relieved sigh. "Thank God you're here. I'm running so late for," the words died in her throat as she locked eyes with a startled man in an expensive suit, definitely not her driver, and a wide-eyed little girl in a booster seat beside her. If you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more content like this. Your support means everything to this channel. "You're not my Uber," Eliza whispered, mortification washing over her. "And you're not my daughter's new nanny," the man replied, a hint of amusement breaking through his initial shock. That moment of mistaken identity would change their lives forever. James Harrington gripped the steering wheel tighter as he watched the beautiful stranger in his rearview mirror. Her dark hair was plastered to her face from the rain, and despite her obvious embarrassment, there was something striking about her. "I am so sorry," she stammered, reaching for the door handle. "I'll just..." "Wait," James found himself saying. "Where are you headed?" "The weather's terrible." "Downtown. Job interview at Meridian Publishing." She checked her watch and winced. "Which I'm now officially late for." 6-year-old Sophie piped up from her booster seat. "Daddy, we can give her a ride. You always say we should help people." James hesitated only briefly. There was something about this woman that seemed trustworthy, despite the unusual circumstances. "I'm headed that direction anyway. I'm James, by the way. And this is my daughter, Sophie." "Eliza," she replied, relief washing over her features. "Are you sure? I don't want to impose." "Consider it your lucky day," James said, pulling out of the parking space. "Sophie and I were just discussing how boring our morning was getting." Sophie giggled, immediately warming to their unexpected passenger. "Do you like unicorns? I have one in my backpack." As they drove through the rain-slicked streets, James couldn't help but notice how naturally Eliza interacted with Sophie, admiring the little girl's stuffed unicorn with genuine interest. It had been a long time since anyone besides him had made his daughter laugh like that. Eliza's interview was a disaster. She arrived 15 minutes late, her portfolio was water-damaged, and the hiring manager seemed determined to find fault with everything she said. By the time she stepped back onto the street, the rain had stopped, but her spirits couldn't have been lower. "How'd it go?" She spun around to find James leaning against his Tesla, Sophie at his side enjoying an ice cream cone. "You waited?" Eliza asked, genuinely surprised. James shrugged. Sophie insisted. "She wanted to know if you got the job." "Did you?" Sophie asked, ice cream dripping down her fingers. Eliza knelt to the little girl's level. "Not this time, sweetheart." "Their loss," James said with unexpected conviction. "Listen, we're heading to lunch. Would you like to join us?" Sophie's choice, so it's dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets at Freddy's. "Best nuggets ever," Sophie added solemnly. Eliza should have said no. She had other interviews lined up, resumes to revise. But something about this father and daughter pulled at her. "I could eat a dinosaur or two." Over lunch, Eliza learned that James was the founder of Harrington Tech Solutions, a successful software company he'd built from scratch. Sophie's mother had left when she was just a baby, unable to handle the responsibilities of parenthood. For the past 6 years, it had been just the two of them, along with a rotating cast of nannies and housekeepers. The latest one quit yesterday, James explained while Sophie was distracted by the restaurant's play area. "Something about Sophie being too spirited." "She seems perfectly spirited to me," Eliza replied, watching the little girl navigate the jungle gym with determination. James studied her thoughtfully. "What kind of publishing job were you interviewing for?" "Children's book editor. I have a master's in children's literature, but the market's tight right now. She sighed. I've been freelancing to make ends meet. Do you have experience with children? Besides theoretically through books? I practically raised my younger siblings after my mom got sick. 3 of them, all under 10 at the time. The memories brought a mix of pride and old pain. James leaned forward. This is going to sound crazy, but would you consider interviewing for Sophie's nanny position? The pay is good, and it would be temporary, just until I can find someone permanent. Eliza blinked. You want to hire a woman who broke into your car this morning? You didn't break in. I forgot to lock it. His smile was warm. And Sophie likes you. That's rare these days. It was impulsive, completely unlike her usual careful planning, but Eliza heard herself say, when would you need me to start? The Harrington home was not what Eliza expected. Despite James's obvious wealth, the sprawling house felt lived in and warm. Sophie's artwork covered the refrigerator, toys were scattered across the living room, and family photos lined the hallways. Her role quickly expanded beyond typical nanny duties. When James discovered her talent for organization, he asked her to help manage his chaotic home office. When he learned about her editing background, he began asking her opinion on company communications. Sophie flourished under Eliza's care. The little girl who had been labeled difficult by previous nannies revealed herself to be creative, sensitive, and starved for consistent attention. Together they created elaborate stories, built blanket forts, and planted a vegetable garden that Sophie monitored with scientific precision. She's sleeping better, James confided one evening after Eliza had tucked Sophie in. They were sitting on the patio, sharing a bottle of wine as had become their habit. The nightmares have almost stopped. She just needed some stability, Eliza replied. And maybe a few less ghost stories before bedtime. James laughed, then grew serious. The temporary position, it's been 3 months. Eliza's heart sank. She'd been expecting this conversation but dreading it nonetheless. You found someone permanent? No, he said quickly. The opposite, actually. I was hoping you might consider staying on. Sophie adores you, and he paused, seeming to search for the right words. The house feels different with you here. Better. Relief flooded through her. I'd like that. The first crisis came 6 months into Eliza's employment. Sophie's teacher called James to report that the little girl had been in a fight at school. She punched a boy in her class, James explained as they drove to the school together. This isn't like her. The principal's office was intimidating, but Sophie's tear-streaked face was what broke Eliza's heart. The little girl ran to her, not James, when they entered. He said, I don't have a real family, Sophie sobbed against Eliza's shoulder. He said real families have mommies, and I just have a daddy and a lady who gets paid to like me. James looked stricken. Eliza held Sophie tighter. Families come in all shapes and sizes, she told the little girl firmly. And nobody gets paid to love you. That happens all on its own. Later, after Sophie had been put to bed with extra stories and reassurances, James found Eliza in the kitchen. Thank you for today, he said quietly. You always seem to know exactly what she needs. She's an easy kid to love, Eliza replied honestly. James stepped closer. And what about her father? Is he easy to love too? The question hung between them, charged with months of unspoken feelings, shared meals, and late-night conversations. The easiest, Eliza whispered, just before his lips met hers. Their relationship evolved naturally, but not without complications. James's ex-wife suddenly reappeared, expressing interest in reconnecting with Sophie. James's mother disapproved of him dating the help. And Eliza struggled with her identity beyond being Sophie's caretaker. I got a call today, she told James one night as they prepared dinner together. Meridian Publishing. They want me to interview for a senior editor position. James's hands stilled on the cutting board. The same company from before? Different department, better role. She hesitated. It's my dream job, James. Then you should take it, he said, though she could see the conflict in his eyes. We'll figure it out. The interview went brilliantly, and Eliza was offered the position on the spot. But as she drove home, to James and Sophie's home, she corrected herself. Doubt crept in. Taking this job would mean less time with Sophie, a shift in her relationship with James. Was she ready for that change? Sophie was waiting at the door when she arrived, bouncing with excitement. Did you get it? Daddy said you were interviewing for your dream job. I did get it, Eliza confirmed, kneeling to hug the little girl. Does that mean you're leaving us? Sophie's voice was small, her earlier excitement dimming. No, sweetheart. It just means I'll be working during the day, like your dad does. But who will take care of me? James appeared in the hallway. Actually, I have some news too. I've decided to scale back at work. The company's stable enough now that I can work from home 3 days a week. Eliza looked at him in surprise. You didn't tell me you were considering that. I've been thinking about it for a while, he admitted. Sophie needs me present more, and I need to be more than just the guy who signs the checks. That night, after Sophie was asleep, James led Eliza to the garden they'd planted together. I have something to ask you, he said, suddenly nervous in a way she rarely saw him. And it's not because of your job offer or because of what's practical for Sophie. He dropped to one knee, producing a small velvet box. It's because somewhere between you getting into the wrong car and today, I fell completely in love with you. Will you marry me, Eliza? Not to be Sophie's nanny or my assistant, but to be my wife and partner in whatever comes next. Tears blurred her vision as she nodded. Yes. 1,000 times yes. Their wedding was small but joyful, with Sophie serving as both flower girl and self-appointed ring security. Eliza's siblings traveled from across the country to attend, forming an instant bond with their new niece. Married life brought adjustments. Eliza thrived in her publishing role while James restructured his company to allow for more family time. They moved to a new house, one they chose together, with a garden twice the size of the old one and a room Eliza converted into a home library. On their first anniversary, James presented Eliza with a leather-bound book. Inside was the story of them, from the rainy day and wrong car to their wedding, illustrated by Sophie and professionally bound. Our own fairy tale, he said as she turned the pages with trembling fingers. Not quite, Eliza corrected him. Fairy tales end with happily ever after. But we're just getting started. 5 years later, the garden had expanded to include a vegetable patch, a butterfly section, and a small playground for Sophie and her 2 younger siblings, twins that Eliza and James had welcomed 2 years earlier. On rainy days, Eliza still thought about that morning when she'd climbed into the wrong car, soaking wet and late for an interview she wouldn't get. How a simple mistake had led her to the family she was always meant to have. Life wasn't perfect. Sophie had her preteen moments, the twins were a handful, and balancing 2 careers with family life required constant communication and compromise. But every challenge they faced together. Do you ever regret it? James asked her once, late at night as they watched the rain fall outside their bedroom window. Getting into the wrong car that day? Eliza smiled, thinking of the chaos and love that filled their home. It was exactly the right car, she told him. I just didn't know it yet. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content that celebrates the unexpected ways love finds us. Sometimes the wrong turn leads us exactly where we're meant to be.